This is Talk Business and Politics with Roby Brock.
Welcome to the program. Joining me now, John Brummett, columnist with the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. Always good to see you at the beginning of the week, sir.
Good to be here. Thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure.
We'll focus most of our attention today on presidential politics. I want to be with the Iowa caucuses behind us. Donald Trump wins convincingly, as we expected that he would. Asa Hutchinson does poorly, as we expected that he would, but he might have actually come out a little bit of the winner in the Iowa caucus based on the caucus publicity that he got. Kind of put that in perspective for us.
First of all, you may be hearing Roscoe barking. He's been pinned up downstairs so he won't bother me while I do this. But when I started talking to you, he heard my voice, and so he's demanding that I let him come up. So I hope he doesn't interrupt us too much. Put all the things in perspective, or Asa in perspective first. Which did you want?
Asa in perspective first, as Roscoe would have it.
Yeah. Well, I've always said I like political losers more than political winners. Losers tend to have lost because they lack the ability to be evasive or finessing in their rhetoric, and they tend to stand for something that's not necessarily popular, or they're just not as good at the political game, which I've never greatly admired. He has had a good week in terms of public perception, Asa, because of what he stood for, and that he comes home not so much with his tail tucked between his legs, but with a kind of badge of honor among some people. He was helped by the fact that the silly Democratic National Committee put out a tweet ridiculing him when he actually was helpful to the Democratic cause in the general election by being a Republican who disapproves of Trump. And he actually got a phone call from the White House Chief of Staff apologizing on behalf of Joe Biden. And the DNC and the White House press secretary actually praised Hutchinson and disassociated from that tweet, allowing me to make my point that the political parties are a bigger problem maybe than some of the individuals who actually participate in politics, which is part of what's going on there. I think I talked with Asa Hutchinson Thursday. He said it was his first day in 9 years without staff. The door sound kept coming on and off, like he was trying to get in his car but couldn't remember how. I'm sure that wasn't it, but there was that ding going on. But it's a good adjustment for him. He's back in Rogers, and I told him I hope we get together and have lunch and gossip. And I think he wanted me to keep any gossip off the record, which I probably would agree to for the sake of the gossip. But you're right. I mean, he was badly defeated politically, but not at all personally, I think.
One of the few Republicans who will stand up and say that he thinks Donald Trump is disqualified in this election cycle. And so you may see him more on some of these Sunday news shows than when he was running for president, as they search for people who might want to try to stop the juggernaut there. I also note that Luke Skywalker, actor Mark Hamill, tweeted at the governor as well and told him not only was the force with him, but he appreciated him putting country over party. Those were good developments for Asa Hutchinson,
I think, and I did ask him if he had any interest in this no labels movement, sort of a bipartisan problem-solving group that may want to run somebody or has threatened to run somebody if we end up, as we will, with Biden versus Trump. And he said, of course he would be looking at something like that, but he still held out hope that his party would nominate someone other than Trump. I think he can hold that hope out for about 24 more hours because I think the thing's going to be over. And it'll be interesting to see what he does on anti-Trump positioning when Trump is the nominee of his party and the alternative is Joe Biden, whom he politically differs from. How does he handle that? By the way, his being on national talk shows, if it made any difference, he would have done much better in this Republican primary. You remember a time when he was on nearly every week because he was, in fact, when the Sunday talk shows Googled Republican against Trump, his picture came up every time, about the only thing that they had. So I don't know that he would do a lot of good, or needs to be bothering with the Sunday news shows.
He may pivot to be more of a spokesperson in the general election campaign versus the primary campaign, because that's
You got
really
to see how you position on that, though, because no labels, which I'm not saying he's going to get involved with. He did say he would look at it. All it probably would accomplish is take votes away from Biden, thus elevating Trump's floor as something that could carry. It's all an electoral college, and who gets the pluralities then in close states. So I think that's a. I think you have to do a pretty serious set of calculations in determining just how someone in his position behaves in the national interest after we get this pairing it looks like we're going to get.
So we also have the vice president sweepstakes are on. We're starting to see a lot of candidates position for who might be with Trump on the ticket. About 2 weeks ago, maybe a week ago, Lee Stefanik, the New York congresswoman, is out there. I think she's from New York. I may have that wrong.
Yes, she is. Yes, yes.
She's out there with the Trump talking points. Tim Scott with a over the top endorsement of former President. Even though the primaries are headed to his home state of South Carolina, where former Governor Nikki Haley gave him his political start. And then we see our own Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders on national television. I'm not going to say auditioning for the role of vice president, but all of these public appearances do tend to be somewhat auditioned. So, where do you rank the vice president sweepstakes now for Trump's running mate?
Well, I think the premium will be on being over the top. So right now, I'd put Tim Scott's got an arrow up in being over the top. Our Governor Sarah Sanders, who would be a natural pick and who wants it, was on Face the Nation, and I thought her event, her segment, while fine, was kind of less eventful. She had to answer she had to address issues about being governor of Arkansas on abortion and some of the particulars of that, and a couple of other state issues. And her defense of or her advocacy for Trump was full throated, but not as fiery or overstated as perhaps he would like. If Trump, I think, wants a fiery overstatement in his behalf. So I don't think her appearance was particularly helpful, but I think she's in the top 3 or 4. It makes, as you know, I say this grudgingly, but she has some political skill. She has some experience with him. She knows what to say and what not to say. And I think she would be a logical choice as his running mate, frankly. And I think she's in the conversation till the very end.
All right. So I don't think we'll see Asa Hutchinson being mentioned in that conversation. Correct.
Maybe he'll be a no labels running mate, but I don't think we'll see that either.
All right. He's John Brummett. He's columnist with the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. Give us a little sneak preview of what we might see in 1 or 2 of your columns this coming week.
Tell you the truth, at this writing, I am still deciding I have nothing in the bank, but I do believe, and see, I can't write for Tuesday about the New Hampshire primary. Well, yes, I can. Yes, I see. I'm sitting here so fluid with me. I think it's going to say that the Republican presidential race is over. Nikki Haley was not up to it, as Chris Christie said. She lost all momentum, got not much from Iowa, and that Donna Brazile is right. Trump is not so much a candidacy as a movement. And I'm not happy about any of that, but I think that that may compel me to some commentary for Tuesday's paper.
All right. As always, John Brummett, thank you for your time and your insight.
Thank you, my friend. Bye-bye.